Hey folks, how you doing? Monday morning, 12:14 p.m. So midday, not morning really. So usual live stream. Wasn't away this week. I just did a thing at my daughter's school. You know, one of these career day things. They had all these parents come in and talk about what they do for a living. So of course there was a variety of parents. You know, it was really interesting. There was a woman there from the Navy. She was there to talk about the Navy. There was oh hey man, how you doing? A woman there from the Navy. There was someone who was a prison officer. There was 2 police officers. And then there's little old me, the guitar player. So, how you doing, man? And the girls were, my daughter goes to a girls' school, and they were really receptive, and they had a lot of questions to ask. And of course, you get the kind of questions, stuff like, "What's your favourite song?" and "Who's the most famous person you played with?" All that sort of stuff. But most part they were really cool. Man, I love this voicing. I saw this Tom Bukovac thing the other day, and he played this voicing. Isn't it the coolest C7 voicing? It's actually like a C13. Yeah, C13. Right, you have C, A, B flat, E7, E. So you have the 13 and the 7th, right, the flat 7th. But they're next to each other. Thought of doing that. It's so obvious. It was like right in front of me. Right, it's just this. Move the E up. Yeah, you can, right? So if I can do it, it's probably easier like this. Yeah, totally. In that case, I'd probably change my fingering, and I'd probably go. It's not quite the same, is it? I could do it like that. No, that's probably the easiest one. Yeah, that's a great voicing. Dude, your chords are ridiculous, man. Every time I hear you play, I'm always like, it pours stuff and I go, what's that chord voicing he's using there? In fact, everyone should subscribe to your channel. You play great, man. See if I can remember this. That's such a cool song. Especially those sus chords and this. I don't even know if those are the right chords. That's what I play. Oh man, it's true. Really, you guys should go and check out his channel. It's awesome. Really enjoying your slide playing too lately, my man. You know, and I kind of suck at playing slide. I have one here. This is my old slide. I've had this for 20 years, but I actually have a rock slide upstairs, and I've been working on it a bit. I have a guitar set up just for slide that sits upstairs in the living room. Pardon me. And it's I've jacked up the action, and I've been working on trying to get my slide playing together, and then I hear you do it, and I'm like, man, so much to do. Johnson thing I heard him do the other day where he goes, be careful about playing anything in front of me, man, I'm gonna steal it off you. Here's about this tempo though. It's really cool. The guitar is an absolute rabbit hole, isn't it? I feel that comment here, right? The guitar is an absolute rabbit hole. I feel that when I hear the Brazilian tourist stuff. I know, right? That stuff is ridiculous, eh? Just yeah, and you know, on such a tiny instrument, because it is a small, right? Like 8 strings, I think it is 2 sets of 4, kind of like 12 string. And the way those guys feel rhythm. It's just totally foreign to me, you know. I kind of listened to a bunch of that stuff and kind of tried to absorb bits of it. And sometimes, there was one thing I saw of a tour player, and he was playing on that Calais 54 video. I don't know if you guys know that one. And the dude played this rhythm thing. They stopped, and he plays this rhythm thing, like really rhythmic. And I remember the first time I heard it, I was like, where the hell is beat 1? Like, how is he hearing and feeling that? Like, what's going on? So I sat there and I kind of tapped my hand through it to try and get a feel for what it was, and I still kept getting out. And then what I realized is, and I've had this experience a few times now, is don't try and lock my rhythm, his rhythm to me, do it the other way around. Like I tried to adjust to go with where I felt he was, and then I was like, oh, that makes sense now, but it still was just like, man, there's a different world over there, eh? And bass players too, you know, the Brazilian bass players, that to me is where the magic is. You know, guitars all the thing, but some of the Brazilian Muner Hosen, that dude, how the hell he plays bass and sings like that? If you haven't checked him out, go and check him out. Heard some stuff with him with Lee Ritenour that I didn't like as much, but with his own band, that sort of mix of Brazilian Afro-Cuban sort of stuff, and the way those guys feel rhythm, it's just like, wow. And he'll play these ridiculous grooves. Sorry, I have a dog, as you can see. It's left his dog fur all over me. Thanks, James. You know, he'll play those bass lines that are groovy and syncopated, and then he sings another rhythm over it, and I'm just going, how do you do that? And I think part of it is that those dudes grew up with that stuff, right? That's what they know. So the Strat's in getting a refret, so I thought, I'll just play this guitar today. I say I love having the tremolo. I find if I play guitars without tremolos now, what I end up doing is I end up going, like if there's no tremolo on the guitar, I'll go, and then I go, oh yeah, and I go to reach for the tremolo. Just love it. It's funny because for the longest time I hated tremolos. Hope the sound's coming through all right. I assume it is. I mean, from what I'm seeing, it looks like everything should be reaching you guys okay. But it's like, I just love that on a chord. Even a plain voicing like that, C7 sharp 9, right? Also known as the Hendrix chord. Oh, thanks, man. It was funny. I was telling the girls when I was doing this talk at my daughter's school today. I was telling the girls that I'd had this guitar for about 20, 25 years or something like that, and they were like, "Whoa," you know. And I didn't think much of it. And one question was, "How long have you been playing for?" And I said, "Oh, I started playing piano when I was 5, and then I switched to guitar when I was 10. So this is my 36th year of playing guitar." And played music even longer than that. And they were like, wow. And I was like, to me, it didn't really even mean a thing. But I guess because they're like 15, 16 years old. So to have had a guitar for 20 to 25 years is longer than they've been alive. Something I do quite a bit, stuff like that, where we're kind of looking at just random chords to put together. So there I was moving up in minor thirds, but there was one I was working on yesterday. Oh man, look at the flipping dog. The dog comes with you whether you want him to or not. Our dog's a Labrador, and he sheds his fur like worse than any animal I've ever seen in my life. Love him, but it's still like, dude, keep your fur on yourself. So something like the D major to B flat. You know, to me there's so much within that. Even just taking a voicing like that. So 7, 7, 7, 9. I hate thinking frets. I never think frets. To me that's A, D, F sharp, C sharp. That's how I think about it. And then how would I get to the B flat? Well, I could go right. So it's B flat major 9, or I could go right. That's kind of cool. You're so good with your fingers. Oh, thank you. You can see, like already now, like just even looking at that, I'm seeing some possibilities out of that. Just those two kind of chords. You like this tune? Oh, thank you. Even just that, right? There's your D major voicing. So that would be like a D major 6/9, and then going up to like a G minor 11, but it's really not. So it's B flat, so it's like B flat in fourths, B flat major 6th. Yeah. Oh, there goes my pick. Way to go. I've been using these picks lately. I'm really liking them. This one's lost its writing, but hopefully you can see that. Oh, there it goes again. A little bit slippery sometimes. It's the only bummer of them. Hopefully you can see that. Ugh. So they're Martin guitar picks. Wasn't even a thing I knew. I've been on the quest to find picks again. Don't we all do that? These Martin guitar picks are the 0.96. They're about 1 millimeter. So they've got a bit of flex to them, but they're kind of a harder material. They're celluloid. I really like celluloid, especially now that I'm playing the Strat more. I think the celluloid pick is kind of rules on a Stratocaster. But also too, like, the thing I find with picks like this, there's just so much better for rhythm parts, right? That feels really nice on a pick like this. I did try this one. This one was kind of interesting. Hopefully you can see it. Radix by Andrea, 1 millimeter. I like elements of this pick. And what's interesting about it is it has a little bit of a curve. You know when picks get old and they've sat in your pocket for a while and they kind of curve a little bit? This has that like straight out of it. And I'd like it if that pick was in this material, in this thickness. But it's not. This is actually a slightly thicker pick, like 0.4 or whatever. But it doesn't, it kind of flexes a little more, whereas this one feels a little firmer, even though it's a thinner pick. But yeah, anyway, back to that thing. I like doing that, like taking chord progressions that kind of don't really go together, like this, right? And just seeing where that goes, you know. I know Kurt Rosenwinkel was right into that. I remember seeing this video of him talking about a minor thing that he does where he goes. So just going up in minor thirds, in tones. Right, try and play pentatonic of it, right? But you could very easily go. And then go. And going. I haven't warmed up, by the way, so it should be interesting. Alright, that's kind of the easy way to do it, but it's not very musical, is it? Try doing it without moving. That'd be A minor, B minor, C sharp minor, D sharp, what would be next? F. Sorry, one note there. G. Back to A minor, you know, and try making melodies out of it. I wonder if I can do this on my phone. Is this going to work? Any questions? Hit me up, people, if there's something you want to know. I'm going to use Drum Genius because this is one I use like all the time to practice to. Let's find Bossa at 138. You should hear that. So that was like giving each 2 bars on each. I'll go a bar on each. Okay, so I'm cheating a little bit. There's a little bit of extra stuff in there, but you get the idea, right? So that's one per, what I would consider as 1, 2, 3, 4. So it's 2 bars each, I guess. Depends how you're counting it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2. Yeah, it's a 2 bar pattern, so I kind of had those 2 bars each, 1 bar each. Chords like that you might see as not being pentatonic, but they are. Those were all built off, you know, I'm in G. Those are all chords off pentatonics. So. So I really like kind of working on that sort of stuff, you know, where you take a you know, random set of chords like that and just going, right, how do I play through this, you know, because it's one thing to sort of play chord changes, you know, and that's fine, you know, but it's a whole another thing to be able to play melodies that go through chord changes rather than having to obey to the chord changes. Do you know what I mean? Which is an interesting thing about jazz improv, isn't it? Like, a lot of times people spend so much time trying to learn how to play chord changes that they never get to the music part of it, right? And I totally get that. It's an interesting thing. I think that's sometimes why some people think jazz is academic. You know, it's an academic stuff. And that's because, you know, some people never get past the academic part of it, the headspace part of it, to get to the actual music. But man, when I listen to like Charlie Parker, man, I hear like someone just kind of, the ideas are just flowing out of him. To me, it's like it's not really even about the instrument. It's just, there's a guy just playing music. Do you know what I mean? And sure, you can analyze it and go, it's this, that, whatever, but I think it's beyond that. Same with John Coltrane. That's what I hear when I hear Sko play. It's one of the reasons I love Sko so much. Some guy says, message retracted. If you got a question, fire away, man. You know, when I hear Sko play, it's like I hear this kind of stream of ideas. You know, and some people don't like what he does, and I totally get that. But to me, it's like these ideas that are flowing. Excuse me. Still on the tail end of this cold. Oh man, dude, you should come on the channel sometime. I'd love to have you on here and come and talk about what you do. And subscribe to his channel, because as I said, people, great educator, great player. But yeah, you should come on the channel. Come and do one of these live streams and come and hang with me, and we'll talk. I've done a bunch of interviews on the channel, but I actually think the better way to do it would be to have people on live stream. So anyway, I'll reach out to you on Instagram, and have a good one, man. Thanks for chiming in. I appreciate you being here. Yeah, I mean, the thing with guitar too is there's so many possibilities with it, you know, with any instrument really, but particularly with the guitar. And that was what was interesting with chatting with these young people today, was that, you know, we were talking about, and I was saying, you know, if you play piano, a piano is a piano, right? Within reason. Now, sure, they could play synthesizers and stuff like that, but if you're a piano player, like actually play piano, then you kind of, that's your instrument, it's your sound. Now, you can vary it by your touch, all kinds of things. There's a load of expression in that. But I can change my whole thing just by changing guitar. Like if I pick up the telly that's just over there, I'm going to sound completely different. And not only will I sound different, the telly will make me play different. Oh, here he is. Joseph Walsh. Joe Walsh, how are you, man? Oh, thank you. It's what you're talking about with the jazz guys, the more spiritual dimension of playing. Yeah. Do you see colours or anything when you play? Yeah, good question. He says, is what you're talking about with the jazz guys, the more spiritual dimensions of playing? I think so. I think when it gets to the highest level, music transcends any of the theoretical stuff, right? At the highest level, because it's not really about that, right? It's like the theoretical is just a way of explaining what's happening, right? And in educational circles, that makes sense. But if you're teaching, sure, you have to explain it. But when it comes to playing and the actual doing of music, it transcends it when it gets to the highest level. And to me, that's why I don't. I've seen some real snobbery from people in terms of genre. To me, the greatest blues artists are just as spiritually and deep with their music as the greatest jazz artists are. And sure, the language and vocabulary is more simple, but it takes just as long to get to. You know what I mean? To get to that level takes a lifetime, just like Same with Brazilian stuff that we were talking about earlier. Those people that really play that music, they probably grow up with it, and then they've spent their whole lives crafting it to get to a point. It's sort of a thing, dude, right? The second part of the question was, do you see colours or anything when you play? No, in my mind, a lot of times when I play, it can be all kinds of stuff going through there. I'm often asking questions of myself, like what needs to happen right now? What do I need to change? What is, if I'm playing on a band stand and there's what does the time and groove feel like? What is the those sort of questions I'm often asking of myself. But I'm also by the same token, if I'm playing by myself, solo like this, then it's kind of all those questions fall back on me. So sometimes I think about colour and stuff, but not really. Sometimes I think about what I'm going to have for lunch. I know that seems really dumb. So something like that I just played, in my mind, what I'm hearing is I'm trying to hear what I'm playing before I'm playing or as I'm playing it, right? So that's a lot of what's going through my head is I'm hearing what I'm playing. I'm not just putting my fingers like this note here. I've heard it in my head before I've played it. Right? I'm hearing these things in my head. So that's a lot of what's going through my head is what I'm hearing. I don't tend to think theoretical when I'm playing. I do think about notes, right? I think about is this an E in relation to what chord? And more importantly, I'm trying to hear that than anything. But yeah, all those sort of things. Sometimes your mind wanders to other places. That's usually the time you might get lost in the music. Sometimes not. Sometimes you do. It's all kind of a different thing. That's what's hard about when you kind of got a lot on your plate and then trying to play music. You know what I mean? When you're juggling a lot of balls in the air and then all of a sudden, hey, Miss Stephanie, yeah, I'm feeling a lot better, thank you. Went for a walk last night with a buddy. We did about an hour and a half, maybe. That really helped, actually. I went for a walk yesterday or the day before, and I got to the top of my hill, which is not far, maybe 10 minutes maximum, and I could really feel it in my lungs, and I was like, man, that was tough. So I came back, and then last night I was a little bit apprehensive about going with someone else because I thought, oh, he's going to push me. He's got a pace he's going to want to set. But actually, I felt really good for doing it. And then today I felt so much better. I think if I, get out and I walk all the time. I walk the dog every day, and then often I walk other stuff as well. So, yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, Khalil. Yeah, I'm doing good, man. Thanks. The amp is the Fractal. It's the FM3. I'm not actually using that amp. That amp there, I'm going to do some modifications to. I'm actually going to cut that cabinet down and turn it into a 1x12. I've actually already pillaged one of the speakers out of it. One of the speakers, because when I bought that amp, I bought that because of the speakers, and it has 2 gents and P12Ns. So some of my favourite speakers, the Alnico speakers. And I wanted one for my deluxe, which I've already done. Swap out speakers is easy. You unscrew a couple of things and then desolder it and resolder it. That one's not even soldered in. They're just those little clip-on things, which are awful. I don't know why anyone uses those in music gear. I know why they use them, because it's quick. You just plug something in and you go. but it's not very pro because, right, those things can come disconnected. You got to solder stuff. Anyway, so I've already taken one speaker out of that amp, and it sounds better as a 112. And I was like, well, it's gonna sound even better once the cabinet's like a bit more, a better size. So I'm gonna do that with that one. That's basically a Princeton front end with a deluxe output. So be perfect alongside my deluxe. So at the moment, this is a amp model in here is the Texas Star. And there's basically two kind of sounds I've set up there. Clean, just a gain on about 3, with reverb. And then when I go to the second channel here, all I've done is crank the gain up to about 6 or 7 on the virtual amp. See in here, it kind of gets a bit flabby like a real amp would in the bottom. A real amp would kind of go like that and compress, and then a bit of delay. Same reverb. I do need to change this the cap that's on this. It's got a I think I've got the wrong value of cap. It doesn't seem to work very well. There's a little bit of change by the time you get down to about 3. I'd rather that was at the lower point. See what I mean? 0, 1, 2. Like most of that cap is working all about between 0 and 2. And then of course I've got the treble bleed on that, which I put in, which is really easy. You just connect a capacitor and a resistor. And what I did to do that, if you ever want to do that to your guitars, is you want to check out how to do it. There's a couple of options now, but I just used alligator clips. Do you guys know those? They look like this. Right, and they're just, you know, can you see that? And what I do is I just clip that on the back of the pot and then run the leads out, and then I can actually plug into an amp and I can change capacitors and resistors until I get the ones I like. Because it's different. I find it's different with every guitar and every type of pickup, right? Because these are P90s, but these are low output P90s. They're kind of closer to like a regular single coil, but of course they're still wide like a P90, so they've got a wider field of view. These are Mr. Glenn's Blue 90s, they're called. They're fantastic. Love these pickups. My favorite P90s I've ever played, by far. But they're going to respond different than a regular P90, so I found that, you know, just by being able to clip that in, I kind of try some capacitors and resistors till I find that one that I want, and then I solder it once and solder it in, because my soldering's not great. So I don't want to mess it up. So solder it once, and you're done. That's a chord progression I've been using a lot, actually. So going from a 1 chord to a 4 chord in any kind of instance, you know, I might have put the 3rd in, right? Right? But you can go really like that. Right, so that's the 3rd of the chord, but you're playing it as a Hendrix chord, sharp 9. And what it really is if you look at that against the root note, it's the 3rd, the raised 5th, the 9th, and the 5th. Yes. So it's really almost the same as going, right, which would get you that one note in there. Kind of like an altered 1 chord, you know, it's kind of cool. thank you all for the kind words about that behind the scenes video too. I was surprised that people were so into that because you know, I had a lot of good comments on there, and a lot of people. Thanks, Miss Stephanie. I had a bunch of messages from people and stuff too, saying they really enjoyed that kind of stuff and do more of that. Because I didn't know. Like I thought, well, you never know. I never know what to do with this stuff, right? Do I just keep it to educational stuff? Do I do it about playing? I've always done a mixture of like both of playing. But also, too, I don't want it to seem like I'm bragging, like, look at me, look at the gigs I do. It's not, I wasn't trying to come at it from that place. I was coming at it from, like, some people never get to do those sorts of gigs, so I thought they'd be interested. That's all I thought it was. And, you know, I really enjoy seeing stuff like that. So I thought maybe other people might as well. How would I play over that progression? Yeah, thanks, man. So something like this. I would go A major, right? And then when you get to this, it's really like, it's kind of like that sound. Not really altered. It's more like an augmented sound. It's like that, alright? So to me, whole tones are really good sound. So, I'll do that again. That was terrible. Bloody hell. Right, there's your major, and then so that's kind of a good sound. Thanks. Miss Stephanie says, I love the behind the scenes video. Definitely would love to see more of them. Oh, thank you. Yes, I will do more of them, and a variety of stuff is what I was thinking, because, yeah. You know, I've kind of been thinking about the whole YouTube thing quite a bit lately, actually. Like, what I want to even do with this stuff. Because to be honest, I just do this stuff because it's fun. That's why, you know, to me it's fun to do this, and if people are getting something from it, then I'll keep doing it as long as that's happening. But I was kind of thinking, like, what's going to be my angle on all of this? Do you know what I mean? And I really enjoy producing videos. You know, that's why I like to do a bit of an edit and do the whole thing, because to me it's like, when I put stuff out that I haven't edited, I always look back on it and I go, oh man, like it feels like it's slow paced, or it feels like there's things I could have done to explain things with maybe some text or whatever. So it's sort of that. But then also, part of me is also like, I don't know, the things are too edited. It sort of I'm feeling like I'm going too much down that rabbit hole lately, and thinking maybe I should just do it like a little more raw, and because it is what it is. It's YouTube, right? And I think YouTube at its best was when it was quite raw and not this kind of highly commercial thing. It's sort of become, yeah, I don't know. You know, as long as people watch, that's the main thing. You know, I'm amazed that people do. Quiet Storm, bro, do you dig that stuff? I don't know Quiet Storm. I'm not sure what you mean. I like Anita Baker for sure, and I like Michael Bolton for sure. Michael Bolton was one of those guys that was sort of like, it was pretty over the top, wouldn't you say? Like, you know, like love songs that were just like so. But then that nowadays, like I remember when I first kind of heard that stuff, just thinking it was so overboard, like overproduction, oversung, over like everything, massive, big, monstrous guitars. Now I listen to it and I just go, I love that about it. It's kind of like Malmsteen. You know, some people hate Malmsteen, but I dig it, because it's like, that guy is excess, right? That's his point. He's going, well, I just want to play fast. I just want to shred, and I don't care that you either like it or you don't. And I go, okay, cool. He does what he does, right? You know what I mean? It's sort of one of those things, and I feel the same way about Michael Bolton and people like that. You know, it's like that big production, the David Foster type thing. You know, and I love it. And the guitar playing in that stuff is killer too. You know, and Anita Baker, Anita Baker was Sweet Love, wasn't she? Was that one of her tunes? if that's what I'm thinking of, Sweet Love is awesome. Great harmony. I can't remember how it goes. I've got a chart somewhere. Used to play that with Ella Monterey, the singer. Yeah, she used to do that song and just kill it, you know. Yeah. So yeah, back to that chord progression. You could use the whole tone scale off that one. That would get you the natural 9 and the 5th and the dominant. But you also could just play the blues at that point, right? That's kind of a cool sound, right? People forget about the blues, right? But then when we get this, and the blues kind of stands out because now you got this, and amongst the sound that was that, right? Yeah, Owen says Dan Huff played on a bit of Bolton's stuff, didn't he? Yeah, he did, and I love that. You know, Dan's one of my favorite guitar players, and I'm dying to hear his album. I really, really want to get a copy. So I went to my Bandcamp the other day, and I went to go and purchase it because Bandcamp is my preferred platform, and I need to sign in with my with my email address, right, which was my website, which is now gone. I think you've probably seen that nickgranville.com is gone. Thanks GoDaddy. So GoDaddy screwed me on that one. The website host, which was GoDaddy. So I'm gonna have to create a new website. But then I was like, I can't, I can't sign into my Bandcamp to go and get it. And I tried to do it on the app, and Bandcamp has a weird thing with Apple. Apple won't let you do it on your phone. You have to go onto the desktop, and then it shows up on your phone. Because of course Apple wants to protect Apple Music, right? You know. So I went to go and get it, and I couldn't. And then I was like, damn. You know, and so I'm going to have to figure out some way to try and change the email address on there. But every time I try and do it, it would say it's sending you a notification to nickgranville.com to your email there. And I was like, well, I can't access that. So, kind of annoying. I really want to hear Dan's album, though. I know I'm going to love it. Miss Stephanie says, I love the blues. I love Gary Moore growing up. Me too. I grew up on a lot of Gary Moore. I mean, he was kind of known for stuff like... Turn that down a bit. You know, that sort of stuff. Which, really, if you think about that tune, right? Like, there's that melody line, right? But... Which standard is this? Right, it's Autumn Leaves. It's basically Autumn Leaves, but packaged in a different kind of way as a rock ballad with this. This kind of singing, it doesn't really sound right with P90s. It really needs a Les Paul or some kind of high output humbucker. But Gary Moore was killer. I grew up with his stuff too, you know, and I listened to a lot of him, and, you know, but particularly like the stuff with him with like Albert King and people like that, where he'd bring them in as a certain guest, because he kind of got, like, he had some pretty big hits, Gary Moore. You know, Parisian Walkways, that was him, wasn't it? And stuff like that, that you kind of, so he had the fame, but he'd bring these people. Stevie Ray Vaughan, I think, was one of the guests on one of those videos. He'd bring these people in and then sort of do his thing, but with them. And of course, Gary Moore was fantastic in the more fusiony stuff that he did too. And I think he was in Thin Lizzy and things like that. So, thanks, Khalil. We appreciate the kind words, man. The Strat's in getting a refret, so that's why I'm playing this guitar. Although, I love this guitar. It's beautiful. But it's not a Strat. So I use this when I want, like... To me, my guitar tech kind of described this guitar as, hopefully you can see it all. Look at all the wear on the neck. You can see where I play the most, right? He described it as kind of like a fat Stratocaster. And that's what I think it sounds like to me, right? And it's actually with the treble bleed are an interesting thing. Because if I turn the volume down, it's not like it's getting quieter. I mean, it is a little bit. But really what's going on is I'm getting, it's getting thinner. Right, if I go to here, you'll hear there's quite a thick mid-range to that. But if I turn down to 6, yeah, it got quieter. But if I hit the level back up, kind of sounds a little more Strat-ish at that point, doesn't it? Because the mid-range and bottom end drops out of it, right? It's just left with a lot more treble. So you can actually make it kind of sound a bit more Strat-ish. But... we'll do the rock thing too, It'll do that too, so you can do a lot of stuff with this guitar. But I'm looking forward to getting the Strat back now once it gets the new frets in it, 'cause it's going to be good. Over here. Oh, thank you. Miss Stephanie says, sounds cool. I love the funkiness of that. Oh, thank you. It's a SCO tune called... What's it called? Hot and Tot. Yeah. Hot Tin Tot. All in one word. The thing with this guitar too, this always kind of surprises me is how well it stays in tune. I mean, these are non-locking tuners, right? You can probably see them. They're Spurzels, which were changed. I don't know why. Don't get me into that. But it's still mostly holding in tune. Non-locking tuners, you know. It was flat anyway, but at least it stayed consistently flat. A couple of strings are going jump. Not bad considering how berserk I went on it. Most of the time, all I ever do is this. The tremolo like a chorusing pedal, right? You know, a chorusing pedal would get a little bit of wobble to sort of modulate it. That's really all I'm ever using it for. And only on on chords, sorry. Look at that, really subtle. You know, kind of like I would if I was playing single notes. But it's kind of hard to do with chords. So I can kind of do it, but maybe occasionally I'll go. It's kind of a Dan Huff thing to do, right? But it sort of sounds like that tape, you know, when you used to get the old tapes and you used to start them up and sometimes they'll go into it, you know. Occasionally I'll kind of do that. Most of the time it's just a little bit of wobble. So yeah, I really dig the tremolo. I'm going to have to go in a moment, folks. So if any quick questions, anything you want to know, if I can show you something, how to play something, let me know. Because I'm going to have to go in about 5. Really enjoy these live streams, so thank you very much for joining me and being here. It's just a chance to kind of hang out and play a little bit, and I try and do them on Monday mornings, midday on Monday. Seems to work out pretty good. I think that means most people in the US and Europe, it's usually the day before Sunday night or something like that. Hopefully not too late, because, you know, time zone differences. Alex, how are you, man? No problem for you in Christchurch, right? There's another channel you should go and check out too, Gil Evans Inside Out, which is Alex, composer, arranger based in Christchurch. Fantastic channel. I really enjoyed his channel. You know, he does a lot of stuff about music theory and about arranging. So if you want to know about that stuff, go and check out his channel. It's fantastic. Oh, you're in Australia. Okay. So what time would it be there at the moment, Miss Stephanie? Which part of Australia too? Man, it's been so long since I've been to Australia. I need to get over there more often, you know. Go and play some gigs around in I just often don't get a chance to. It's sort of, I get so caught up with stuff here. And I've played in Australia a bit, but I love going to Australia, especially Melbourne. Melbourne's such a great city. I should just make an effort and just jump over. Oh, there you go, you're in Melbourne. Yeah, that's where I would be if I was in Australia, because it's such a great city. So it's 11 a.m. So it's 1 a.m., 1 p.m. here at the moment. You're a couple of hours behind. Yeah, my brother-in-law lives in Melbourne, and he loves it there, I think Melbourne's the biggest city in Australia now, is that right? I think it's surpassed Sydney, so yeah, and it's really happening. Every time I've been to Melbourne, it just feels really alive, It kind of reminds me of what Wellington used to be 10, 20 years ago. Wellington's in a funny place right now. The COVID stuff with a small scene like Wellington means that it's just going to take longer to recover here. It's just how it is. But also too, there's a lot of government workers in Wellington, sort of where government is based, kind of like Canberra in Australia, but with more like the music scene like Melbourne, like an arts-based city. But a lot of the government workers here lost their jobs. Like 8% of them, I think. 8% of the city lost their job last year or something like that. And that sort of stuff has flow-on effects. But hey, I'm going to play anyway. We're playing in Paraparaumu this weekend. Up in Pram, as people call it. Paraparaumu, Pram, something like that. But we're doing a concert with my trio, with Lance Phillip playing drums and Rory McCartney. And it's a guitar trio, but we'll be playing a mix of stuff. And we thought, I might chuck in a couple of Mike Stern tunes and stuff, because Lance and I actually did the tour with Mike Stern when he came through New Zealand. So Lance already knows that stuff. And I said to Rory, well, man, you just need to learn a couple of these tunes and we're away. So I think we might have a crack at a couple of those, Chromosome would be fun. Well, I'll just learn it up, you know what I mean? It's really cool stuff. KT's another Mike Stern tune. We might have a go at. Great. Alex says, would love to have the music scene Melbourne has. Yeah, I know, right? Like, Melbourne's happening, you know what I mean? Like, the nightlife, the whole thing, and there's a great vibe there. I like it a lot. And there's some really good musicians there. I remember going to Melbourne maybe 20 years ago and taking some lessons. Took some lessons with Steve Magnuson, a really fantastic player. Jeff Hughes. Jeff is a Kiwi, but he lives in Melbourne, and he teaches at Monash. I think it's Monash. One of those universities. Maybe Steve teaches at Monash. Anyway, Jeff Hughes, and so I took some lessons with Jeff, those guys, I learned a lot from them, And then went out and saw a bunch of gigs. Jamie Oles was playing, I think it was called the 606 or something like that, or the 303, some club that was fantastic. And I remember going out to the Paris Cat, which I believe is still open. Sorry, a dog fell all over me, as I mentioned. So, it just felt really alive. I remember, like, on a Sunday night, there was a 14-piece salsa band playing that were just guys were ridiculous and playing their asses off. So, hey folks, I'm gonna have to go. That's been an hour. I usually try to keep these to about an hour, but thank you so much for joining me. And yeah, I got some videos coming this week. I'm gonna do one on how I kind of came up with my preset for the FM3. That's coming. I want to do one that kind of explains modes a little bit. I think a lot of guitar players and musicians in general get really confused about modes. So I thought, man, instead of like, I've seen a lot of people saying, don't use modes suck and all this stuff. And I think what that is, I've seen a lot of that kind of discourse lately. I think what it is those people just don't understand modes. They don't. I heard someone the other day saying that Sweet Home Alabama is in D Dorian. No, it's not. Right? Whoa, what was I saying about it being in tune? You know. Right. Now you could go 1, 4, 5. It's not. It's in the key of D, right? So then people start going, well, it's D Dorian. No, it's not. Go and listen to the melody. With every tune, the melody kind of tells you everything you need. Kind of sings that between the minor third and the major third. But it's like the melody, everything about the melody is leading towards that D note, isn't it? We're in the key of D. I've never seen anybody play Sweet Home Alabama and finish it on G. And I think one of the writers of that song said that, it was in the key of G. No, it's not. Otherwise it would go. That doesn't feel finished. That feels finished. It wants to move to D. It's D. The melody, right, is going towards a D. Everything's leading towards a D note. Really, to me, it's kind of a blues thing. That's what I hear with this. So I kind of do that. I approach it like the blues rather than like a modal thing. To me, that's not modal. But hey, if we had something like same key, but it was like, should have played that. To me, that's like a D major 7, sharp 11 to an A major 7. To me, that's clearly like a D Lydian sound, right? Everything's drawing it to that. So this is, yeah, I'll get that video out this week, and I think it'll help a lot of people to sort of clarify, a few things, because I think people get confused about that a little bit about modes, and so they don't understand it. And people don't like stuff they don't understand. I get it. And also, too, it depends on what music you play. I remember seeing a thing of Guthrie Trapp, and he was talking about how, they never talk in modes and never do that kind of stuff. But then he played some stuff that was modal, and he probably didn't even know he was doing it, right? He's just hearing it and playing it. And of course, if you're playing kind of country, blues, rock, you probably don't need to know modes in that instance. It's not part of that music. You play jazz stuff, well, then you probably do need to know some modes, but I think a lot of people get confused about the actual context. Anyway, we'll get to that soon. Thanks so much for joining me, people. I'll see you soon. Cheers.